That was worth waiting for. In November of 1620, a brave group of immigrants traveled across the Atlantic Ocean and landed on a desolate plain. They were hungry, they were tired, they were exhausted. If you feel like you can't relate to these folks, just think back to your first week of school. I'm sure you'll get back into the mode. But they survived, like a lot of you did at the beginning of the school year. After a long, hard winter, they finally found a place for themselves. They met with the native peoples, they learned how to cultivate the land, they learned how to set up the area, and they learned how to prosper. Survival was no longer their key element of their daily life. Now it was time to thrive. Now you might think, why am I starting my speech with a story about Native Americans and with immigrants that came across the ocean over 400 years ago? In our modern classrooms, there's a big trend that's been going on for about 10 years or 11 years. It's an idea called digital natives versus digital immigrants. Maybe some of you have heard this phrase before. Mark Prensky coined this in 2001 when he said, our students of today are digital natives. They've grown up with technology and they've had it throughout their entire lives. If you put a 3-year-old in front of a computer, you can immediately see that their eyes light up as they move the mouse and go ahead and do whatever they want to do on that device. Some of us even think that the students are coming out of the womb ready to rock. But what about us? Some of us in this room weren't born with technology. We'd be called digital immigrants. Some of you in the room didn't have computers when you were growing up, and when you first entered the classroom, sometimes we get labeled like this, kind of an old school teacher who's unwilling to change with the modern age. I don't really see it that way. I'm here to talk to you, who I believe are the digital immigrants in our world today. I'm one of you. When I was born, there weren't computers, there weren't cell phones or iPads. The first actual technology that we really had in my house was an Intellivision, which is the Atari's ugly stepsister, if any of you had this growing up. The only thing that you even have there is a little remote disc that lets you move the Pong piece along. Over time, as I was getting older, we began to get portable technology. My first really cool gadget, a Walkman, right? Now I could take Michael Jackson on the road with me. But then I got into junior high and we finally got our first computer. It changed my world. Now I could type without having to use whiteout. I could put images in my papers using Print Shop. And the most important thing of all, I could play Lakers versus Celtics with my friends. As I got older, I got really interested in becoming a teacher. And as a teacher, technology was always part of what I wanted to do. I was always looking for new ways that I can engage students and reach out to these kids that love technology so much. The first gadget I got in my classroom was a Sony Mavica camera. Take a look at that thing, complete with 3.5-inch floppy disks so I could save my pictures. As I kept teaching, I kept thinking how much I thought technology was impacting the lives of my students and how much I wanted to help other teachers do the same thing. Eventually, I left the classroom to become a technology instructor. And I've spent the last 10 years working with teachers, showing them how they can use gadgets as part of their teaching. When I first got started, I thought I was going to be the next Steve Jobs, always showing you one more thing that you can use. But I realized that teachers aren't looking for one more thing. They don't want one more gadget that can change their lives. Rather, instead of looking for Steve Jobs, most teachers are looking for somebody like this, Dr. Phil. Somebody who can give it to them straight, somebody who can listen to them when they need to vent, and somebody who sometimes can kick them in the rear to get them going. I find that the biggest challenge that most teachers have when facing the idea of integrating technology into their classroom is a misconception that they have to start over from scratch. That if they start using technology in their lessons, they're going to have to abandon everything they've ever done and start over from the drawing board. And I can't think of anything that's further from the truth. I like to think of powerful teachers as kind of like a steel cable. If you've ever seen a steel cable, it has a central core and it has steel wires that wrap around it that provide the extra support. In our classrooms, the steel cable is the center core is your teaching instruction, the things you've done for years, whether it's classroom management, building engaging lessons, reaching out with passion to the students. And then we wrap the innovation and the technology around it to create something that can support thousands of pounds or thousands of lives. I like to think of it in this term. If we add the experience that all teachers bring to the classroom, add a little bit of technology innovation, we can create the next generation of super teacher. Teachers that can conquer the world and change lives for good. Teachers have been doing this forever. Think about a few ways that you've seen teachers innovate. Many of you probably grew up in a classroom that had something like this. But teachers in the 80s decided that they were going to go down to their local home improvement shop. They were going to spend maybe $15 to $30 and buy something called shower board. And they changed it to a low-tech solution, but something like a whiteboard. So they didn't have to get chalk dust all over them, and it was easier for the students to read and to work on it. They could put different colors and all kinds of things. We move forward a few years, and another innovation that I've seen just in the last handful of years. In 2007, we started to get a lot of iPads and a lot of mobile devices, and teachers craved these devices. The problem was when you got into the classroom, it was a very personal device. Really hard for teachers to share what they were seeing on their iPads with their students. And then a device came along in 2010. It had a new innovation. It was the Apple TV. And the Apple TV gave teachers the ability to connect this device to their projectors and stream the content off their iPads. It was the first time that you could really share your iPad screen with the students in your classroom. It's changed everything. Look around the buildings today, and you'll see most of the buildings have a way that they can stream the content from their iPads to the students. Another idea that's been around a long time is classroom video. Teachers have long used video, whether it was film strips, VHS tapes, DVDs, and moving into Blu-ray. Now we're using digital video. One of the latest services that a lot of you maybe have seen is a service called Vine, where people can upload 6 seconds of video to share their latest adventure with their friends and family. Well, how would a teacher use 6 seconds of video? Can you imagine what 6 seconds can do for a super teacher? Let's take a look. We'll pause it there, but just look at all the different interesting concepts that we can learn using something as simple as 6 seconds of video. I want to tell you the story about a super teacher, a digital immigrant like you and me, who started teaching 15 years ago. His name's Jared Fossen. He teaches geography up in the Davis School District. Jared was telling me recently that for the first 15 years of his career, he loved everything that he was doing. He loved the ability to interact with the students. He was passionate about his subject, but he felt like he needed to take his teaching to the next level. He started to take a few technology integration classes and eventually went to a few conferences, one of which was a national conference where he met educators from around the globe. They encouraged him to sign up on Twitter. And on Twitter, he started to reach out to these teachers. He met people from different places and shared ideas with them and learned from them. Jared took these ideas back to his teaching last fall. And as part of his curriculum, he no longer just taught his students about the countries, but using video conferencing, he interacted with students from these countries because he had connected with their teachers through Twitter. Twitter had brought his students to the world, and he allowed his students to learn firsthand from other kids and from other people around the globe. Jared's students appreciated what he did so much that they actually nominated him for the Davis School District Teacher of the Year, and he won that award. Think of that. Something as simple as connecting with other teachers and bringing in one technology idea, such as video conferencing with his students, really changed what Jared was doing. It brought him the ability to share with his students a global perspective. I've met with teachers, dozens and thousands of teachers for the past 10 years, and all of them share kind of the same story. People like you and me that want to use more technology in our classrooms, but we're a little intimidated, a little afraid, but we're willing to try one new thing. Maybe one teacher wants to build a website that will help their students learn remotely or can find the information that they got in class. Others use Legos to help empower their students to learn math and science. As we finish, I want to kind of go back to our initial story where we're talking about the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims had their own compact. And I want to think about what I call the technology compact. 4 simple principles that can help you engage with your students as you strive to incorporate more technology into your classroom. The first concept is take a risk. A couple years ago, I had an opportunity that a book publisher actually came to me and said, "Do you want to write a book about Google?" I was scared to death. I'd never done anything like that before. I didn't know if I could do it, but I thought, I'll always regret it if I don't take the chance. That doesn't mean that my book's now a bestseller or anything like that. I haven't planned my retirement around it. But it gave me the opportunity to share some viewpoints that I had and to help teachers learn and grow. The people on the Mayflower were only 100 strong, but they were the ones that got on the boat. How many teachers never do? The second thing I've seen a lot of is no experience necessary. We all feel like we have to have so much professional development to be able to learn how to do new things. The kids don't ask us for professional development, they just try things. Some of them work, some of them don't. As you can see, sometimes technology doesn't work, right? But a lot of times, just that attempt gives us great rewards. Another principle that I've learned is take one step at a time. Looking at a wall like this can be completely overwhelming. So find one tool that you want to try, use it in your class, see if it works. If it doesn't, maybe in a few weeks, try something else. You don't have to accomplish everything in one day to feel like you're a successful teacher using technology. The last point I want to make is no man is an island. None of us exist in this world alone. You have colleagues and resources within your building, within your district. And if you use the new tools of social media like Twitter, you have a world of educators that are looking to share ideas with you and become part of your technology journey. Our nation has been founded on a nation of immigrants. All of them took the brave step to walk up that dock and board the boat. The question I have for each of you, the technology ship is sailing in your classroom. Will you be on it? Thank you.